Heute gibt es das 5. Interview von der Baltikum-Reise 2019. Dieses Mal mit Martin Liberts, dem Co-Founder des litauischen Peer-to-B-Startups Debitum Network. Viel Spaß dabei! Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen Video hier auf dem Kanal von Rethink Peer-to-Kredite. Mein Name ist Danny und auf diesem Kanal findest du authentische Erfahrungsberichte und tiefgründiges Hintergrundwissen zu Peer-to-Krediten. Heute gibt es das längste Interview von der Baltikum-Reise 2019. Das Gespräch mit Martin Liberts, dem Co-Founder von Debitum Network. Es dauerte ungefähr 90 Minuten, knapp 1,5 Stunden. Aber bitte lasst dich nicht abschrecken von der Länge des Interviews. Für mich persönlich ist es eines der spannendsten und auch der interessantesten Interviews während meiner Reise gewesen. Zu Debitum Network möchte ich jetzt im Vorfeld und an dieser Stelle gar nicht viele Worte verlieren. Wie gesagt, das Interview ist lang genug und wir sind dort auch sehr ausführlich und sehr facettenreich auf das Unternehmen und dessen Innovationscharakter eingegangen. Wie immer, die Timestamps findest du in der Videobeschreibung. Wenn du zu einer bestimmten Frage oder einem bestimmten Themenkomplex skippen möchtest. Und eine deutsche Zusammenfassung des Interviews findest du wie gewohnt auch auf meinem Blog. Wenn du Lust hast, bei Debitum Network zu investieren, dann habe ich gute Nachrichten für dich. Ich konnte nämlich sehr, sehr attraktive Konditionen für Neuanmeldung auf der Plattform heraushandeln. Im Einzelnen sieht die Bonuskampagne für Neuanmeldungen wie folgt aus. Ganz wichtig natürlich den individuellen Anmeldelink benutzen. Diesen findest du auch unten in der Videobeschreibung. Und zwar im Zeitraum zwischen dem 31. Mai 2019 bis zum 30. Juni. Und dann gibt es insgesamt 3 Staffelungen. Wenn du mindestens 500 € auf der Plattform investierst, dann bekommst du nach 30 Tagen ein verspätetes Startguthaben von 25 € gutgeschrieben. Das entspricht einem Cashback von 5%. Weitere Staffelungen wären dann 1.000 €, dafür würdest du dann 50 € bekommen und 75 € Startguthaben sogar, wenn du mindestens 2.000 € auf Debitum Network anlegst. Ganz wichtig, der Betrag muss mindestens 30 Tage lang investiert gewesen sein. Erst danach bekommst du den Bonus gutgeschrieben. Diese Kampagne ist unlimitiert, das heißt, es gibt hier nicht eine gewisse Begrenzung an Investoren, die sich dafür qualifizieren können, sondern jeder einzelne Investor hat hier eben die Chance, sich dieses Startguthaben zu sichern. Und noch ein letzter Hinweis von meiner Seite, auch ich persönlich habe 1.000 € auf Debitum Network in dieser Woche investiert, allerdings sind in meinem Dashboard nur 999,01 € angekommen. Die Anfrage am Support ist an den Support bereits rausgegangen. Entweder wird Debitum Network eine Gebühr von 0,01% des überwiesenen Betrags einbehalten oder aber es handelt sich hier um eine Pauschalgebühr von 1 € bzw. 99 Cent. Sobald ich hier eine Antwort habe, kann ich die gerne mitteilen, aber für euch einfach nur wichtig, wenn ihr eben ganz speziell auf eine der gewissen Hürden abzielt, dass ihr im besten Fall gleich 1-2 € mehr investiert, um eben hier auch über der entsprechenden Grenze zu sein. Mehr zu Debitum Network gibt es dann auf diesem Kanal bzw. auf dem Blog in 2 Wochen, am 14.06. Dann werde ich nochmal die wichtigsten Informationen für Privatanleger zusammenfassen und auch meine persönliche Motivation darlegen. Ich bin ja eher so ein Freund des Ansatzes Klasse statt Masse, was mich eben auch persönlich von Debitum Network überzeugt hat, dass ich jetzt zumindest mit einer kleinen Tranche auch investiert bin. Darauf kannst du dich also schon freuen. Wenn du bestimmte Fragen an oder zu Debitum Network hast, schreib diese gerne in die Kommentare. Ich kann sie dann gegebenenfalls auch beim nächsten Video nochmal mit aufgreifen. Das soll es jetzt mit der Vorrede gewesen sein. Viel Spaß mit dem Interview und bis Danny.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is interview number 5 of my Baltics journey. Today I'm here joined with Martin Liberts, who is a co-founder of Debitum Network. Martins.
Hi, guten Tag.
Guten Tag. First of all, thanks for taking some time and allowing me to ask you some questions about your very much innovative peer-to-peer lending company. I have to say up front in the introduction, you know, Martins and I, we have been chatting already probably for about an hour, or I don't know, for a long time. And I feel like we both have the tendency to elaborate a lot and explain a lot of things in detail. And I think there's just a good level of curiosity here on both sides. So we try to keep it really like that, you know, we don't overstretch like the patience of the viewers, and we try to narrow it down to the point as far as we can, obviously. But if you expect a detailed interview, probably you will find it here. And as we figured out also while we were talking previously, there's a lot of interesting elements in this story, in this interview, already due to the, you know, approach of Debitum network on one side, but also because of the history and the projects that Martins has been involved. Just to give an example, that's now I'm talking all the time, but he's been also involved as a shareholder of Debitum, which is one of the loan originators on Debitum network, but as many people know, also of Mintos for about 3 years now, I think. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's just get it going. Martins, I told already a lot about you, but maybe people want to hear in your own words, you know, what can you probably tell the people about your personal background, about your personal vita? Let's say up from, you know, starting out in business, you're a lot of involved in many projects, up until finding or setting up Debitum network, and just start the conversation here.
Yeah, I already feel that we got on the right leg. I personally, I have been involved in my career, professional life around 20 years. I initially did IT, so my background is mostly from IT.
Yeah.
So I have been in IT for the 20 years and in finance for like 5 years, something like that. And initially, I'm actually a Latvian, so we had a lot to chat about Riga where you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And I started with IT. We did a lot of e-service projects. We did a lot of fintech projects, banking, e-banking, etc. And then with the same company, I moved to Lithuania. I don't know if it's very popular in Germany. It's Tieto, so it's very popular in Scandinavia. It's one of the biggest Finnish and Swedish IT companies.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up in Lithuania. And then I found here in Lithuania.
That was 2010?
Yeah, 2010. And here finally I found my love in business partners, I meant. And I found love later, but business partners I found around 2011, 2013. Yeah. And then we started different things. One of them IT. I think we'll touch about it a bit later. And then with three of us, we founded Debitum.
Yeah.
And then
maybe just here I can break in already, because I think that was very interesting. So you had an IT company you've been involved with, and you had difficulties finding the right funding for your company.
Yeah, it was actually that we started an IT company in Lithuania. It was an innovative e-services, because in Lithuania at that time, it was 2012-13, it wasn't really so much of innovation in technology, like high-end technology or modern technology. It was a lot of legacy, like database programming and stuff like that. And we started a company and we actually had good projects. We were usually subcontracted to a larger company and some direct projects. And then we wanted to factor our invoices, right? Because we really needed cash.
Can you in simple terms explain what factoring is? Because I think many people probably don't understand this kind of credit type.
Okay, so basically
is factoring just like funding companies? Or what is this invoice?
Yeah, it's yes and no. So basically what it means that if we have an invoice and we work for you, we give you the invoice. But usually it has, especially when you work with larger company, it usually has a term like 60 days, 90 days.
Yeah.
And then basically we give you the invoice and wait, because larger companies usually have the tendency to keep out all the days. And then it means like 2-3 months we have no money. No, or we kind of should have money, but it's with you. And then what we do, we take that invoice to a factor and they just give us money right away, of course a bit less, and then they collect when you pay.
Yeah, so they're sitting in the middle of the process.
Yes. So we wanted to do that with banks, And actually, it sounded really that it would be possible because we worked with a couple of Lithuanian largest IT companies.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen because one of them didn't provide some balance sheet, another was something else, and they basically were refused. And we felt it's really bad. We sold the thing. We got it from friends and families. But we thought we need to solve it, and I think 1 or 2 years later we formally established Debitum and then moved into that alternative factoring business as well.
Yeah. That was which year?
I think it was roughly
2015.
Yeah.
And I did some research. January 2016, Debitum has joined Mintos, the marketplace Mintos. Obviously. We talk very respectfully, and I can assure, Martin spoke in his highest words about Mintos, and it's very sensitive to see like what is the relationship, or asking about the relationship between Mintos and Debitum back then. But maybe because I think very rarely people get insights to the loan originators that are actually working within the marketplace of Mintos. Funny enough, you said Martins Schulte, the CEO and founder, also in person. You went to the same university.
Yeah, we played football together.
Yeah,
I think that we played football together. It was a long time ago.
and just maybe like, can you talk about, so you were set up Debitum, and you thought, okay, we need some, let's say, accelerators where we can get our loans off, basically, and where we can,
it was. I remember that time because we actually met, I think first time regarding business we met in Vilnius.
Yeah.
And we really needed, we had borrowed all we can to get the portfolio going, and we thought that it will be really hard to get it higher.
Yeah.
So we got some, I think at that time portfolio was around 500,000. And we needed to find a way to get more money to be able to give out more loans because it was really popular. So and then we met Mintos, and after some time we agreed on cooperation. And I think one of the aspects that we discussed is that because at that time Debitum was really small, then it was agreed mutually that Debitum wouldn't give a buyback guarantee because it's such a small company that maybe that buyback would not be considered really serious or always impossible.
So, but it was a mutual thing. So you both said,
it was like we thought emotionally that we would anyway buy out because we thought if at that time when it was like first loans, we thought if we would even if they would default and we wouldn't buy them out, most likely that's it. No one would ever give us more money through Mintos. So we thought, okay, we would still buy them out, but formally we agreed that we will not have that buyout. Of course, as we grew, we actually learned that okay, maybe it's actually a good idea for a company. It's a good idea to have such a funding source without a buyback. But that without giving a buyback allows giving a higher interest rate, and that's, as we discussed later on, is difference between Debitum and Mintos for Debitum as loan originator, because on Debitum it's with buyback, but interest is really low. It's lower, and then again, it's different, risk appetite or interest appetite, like what's more important for an investor in that case.
Interesting. And Debitum, I also looked it up, is right now at Mintos Marketplace, it's only one of 3 companies that offers no buyback guarantee.
Okay.
So that's out of 60 that they have currently.
I wonder what the others. Look it up.
Look it up, and write us in the comments. And then obviously the revenue. I just checked the current dates on Mintos, like for Debitum, just to finalize on that topic, which was then leading to Debitum. So it was like right now on Mintos, on the website, it says like a revenue or turnover of 85 million. They got a decent B rating, which kind of Mintos implemented how reliable certain loan originators are. I think overall a very good feedback for Debitum. And what was then happening next that kind of led to Debitum network as it is now?
Basically there are a couple of things. One thing is that we tried at some stage to go with Debitum. We tried to go international, and as I mentioned, I'm Latvian, So we actually thought, okay, let's go to Latvia. It should be easy, right? I kind of still knew a lot of people. My career was there for like almost 10 years, so I knew a lot of people in good positions, and a lot of people in finance area, because we had university bachelor was economics finance that provides most of finance guys. But still, it was really complicated, and what we understood that a lot of small details, like for example, the way you can score, the data you can get to score a company, the time of it, like quality of it, the way you need to do your legal paperwork or legal agreements to get debt collection in the proper manner is different. The way that debt collection can work is different. The structures are different, and the structures are different in a way what you can request, how fast can you collect, etc., etc. So what we basically made a conclusion with those tries. We didn't succeed at that time, and we made a conclusion that in essence we would set up a totally new company that would have literally similar process but very different details. And then we thought, if basically saying, it wouldn't be the same. It would be just finding a local person and letting him set up the company and somehow be together. And we thought that it's really complicated, that it will not be really scalable. Even if we set up that one country, it will not be scalable to say 50 countries, because factoring is really local business. It's very local. You have to know the company. You need to discuss. You need to those. And then we thought, okay, if we want to solve the same problem we had with financing earlier with tech companies, we need to do it differently. And then one of the things that we discussed different ways how we can do it, and then we thought, okay, that's what we ended up with was Debitum network. That we thought, okay, we need to do a business-only financing platform because of other reasons, and that would actually combine or join those local loan originators, local businesses in different countries, and that way it's possible to grow, possible to allow investors to be in different places, but also possible to achieve the goal to actually helping business in different places by giving them the fundings that they can't receive from local traditional institutions.
Okay, so I think there we got already quite well what Debitum Network is all about, which would have been my next question for those that never heard about it. Is there a specific meaning behind Debitum?
It actually means loan debt in Latin. So it's
loan debt in Latin.
So it's basically debt network or loan network.
Okay, interesting. Then let's go more into details. One of the reasons for me looking into the different interviews during my Baltics trip, there's always like specific angles that have been very appealing to me. And Debitum Network is quite a new company. It was founded in 2017, launched in September last year, 2018. But what I was really figuring was the innovative approaches, and that's maybe something also because of the Lithuanian environment with very much ICO, cryptocurrency driven, is fintech, that you have that you're a blockchain based system. You have a decentralized ecosystem, and I think that's a thin line now to not overcomplicate things now in the process, but to make sure it's very easy and understandable, but also like the way you work with external service providers for risk assessment, for debt collection. So I figured that was very interesting. That was the big appeal for me to say, can we do something in an interview? Maybe I can just quote something. I don't know if I found it on the website to understand how the different parties at Debitum Network work together. It's 3 different parties. So Debitum Network is a lending ecosystem that connects small businesses, investors and service providers, risk assessors, insurers, debt collectors. The platform is decentralized as information and services are provided by independent and professional third parties. So maybe let's just have a look at those 3 different parties. So that to me that would be the borrowers and obviously the businesses, the investors and the service providers. Let's start with the borrowers. You focus on companies, you say, on enterprise. It's not big, large enterprise, you say it's on SMEs, is that correct? So small, medium enterprises, and you fund them in a range between 10,000 euro and 1 million. if that's correct. That's the range?
That's the range. There are also smaller loans for certain cases, but yeah, that's kind of more or less the range.
Maybe the first obvious question, why the focus on this specific segment of business loans when, let's say, mostly in peer-to-peer lending, you know, most turn to consumer loans? And you said there was already mentioned there's a few reasons for it, but maybe you can elaborate here.
Yeah, I think most turn because usually consumer loans provide larger interest, so that's maybe the reason why it's more appealing for a business.
Is that like, is that just like, but that's global, that's not just for specific markets, or why is in general the tendency higher for interest rates in consumer loans than for businesses?
Because usually for consumers the risk is a bit higher, right? And you can collect more. Business still has some property, has some activity. But if we move, why we do business only is that because we think that, I would say, every business needs to have why you do it. And throughout what we have been doing different things in finance, in technology. We always have a why that's not money. We don't do anything for money. That maybe my first boss taught me. You just need to do something really good and then money will come.
Yeah.
So, and then for Debitum, because of that personal experience when we were not financed, and when we were not financed, I still remember that very, very well, because I still remember all the banks actually where we were, is that it felt so bad, because we as a company, basically, we were pushed, because we had no money. We were two quite young guys, I'm a bit older and my partner a bit younger. We felt like two young guys doing something really innovative, are basically pushed into either not doing it, not growing, or selling out. No, basically selling to someone else who has the money. Yeah. And then we felt, if we sell to someone, most likely it should be like someone that is larger, maybe in the same business. And that experience with Lithuania was that we were bringing innovation and modern technology, and most of the bigger companies were like really in legacy. And we felt that we would actually sell out the cause of the company. No, like, if we would sell it to someone who is doing older technology, etc., and we felt really pushed, and we thought that it's not something that should happen in 2008. It was 2012, 13, but in 2000 plus, it shouldn't happen that if you are an entrepreneur and you're actually doing your thing good and you're having more and more customers, that you should be pushed into doing something radical against your will if you want to keep doing that.
Do you think things have changed until today?
Openly, it's got worse, because in around 2010, 2012, the whole gap of business financing, small business, medium business financing globally, it was I think 2.3 trillion euros. Yeah. And then in 2018, end of last year, by World Bank, it was 4.6 trillion euros. So it doubled. Yeah. It's actually getting worse. Like the amount of money that small companies could take to do better business is growing. And then we thought we are on the right path. And I think the whole world is on the right path. Like World Bank has established a separate institution tackling just small business financing. So we had a really emotional, personal reason why we want to help businesses rather than consumers. And we had also, from a background, we actually made a decision at that time not to work with consumer lending. Yeah. And I think that is a good thing, and also that's a good thing for our loan originators or borrowers through Debitum, because they need to compete in the same category. Yeah. Right? It's like in a boxing.
But why is that good?
Because you basically have more or less the same terms. If you provide similar product, you know that you will compete for similar interest rate, for similar risk grade. You will compete for the same investor willing to support or invest in the same category. When you compete, say, with consumer loans or with consumer loans, usually interests can be provided higher on consumer loans because of risk, because of higher APR for consumer. And then it's really harder for business loan companies to compete with them, and it can be seen in the market. And usually business loans tend to be, say, around 10-ish, a bit less, a bit more, while consumer loans actually tend to be around 15-ish. And if it goes like maybe more to the east or more to more undeveloped countries or more developing countries, then it's even higher. And then, for example, when we talk about Debitum with business lenders, as soon as I hear it's like business only, I'm really happy because okay, I know that I will compete with someone like me, and I know how to do it. So I know because I will have to compete for investors basically. Yeah, that's one of the angles why business only.
Okay.
It's like now we got into that level of detail.
Yeah. But maybe just a quick question here, like to follow up here. I see like we're good on time. I expected we will be worse at this stage. Is like they're probably competing, as you say, with the borrowers. With the customers. With the companies, then it obviously kind of forces them, probably also to take to lower prices or lower the interest rates, and that probably, I don't know if that can be in your interest, or I don't know.
No, I think that
whereas obviously competition is driving when you have when you have a very high demand for the same product. No, sorry, I lost the string, bro. If you have a bigger supply for a smaller demand, then it's obviously decreasing the percentage, if I'm not mixing up anything now. So, I don't know, that's obviously not the necessarily your job that you will be handling, you know, but just as a thought.
For our platform, we don't put interest rates on our own. It's each borrower decides what amount they want to pay. At least currently, we have been thinking about new things and how to make it maybe more interesting for everyone, for borrower and investor. But they are free to do. So basically, they are free to put whatever interest, and they see others, they see the fulfillment of other loans, and they can then lower, for example, increase, etc. But at least the range is more or less the same. And why the range is the same? I think it's because you also need to understand that one part is like retail investors, right? Like individuals, etc. But another part is institutional investors, and institutional investors very often actually are limited by legal framework to have consumer loans, and so actually. I don't know actually what the exact reasons, but when we discuss with funds, with institutional investors about lend through Debitum, then as soon as again they hear, it's only business, then it's really good for us, because they very often either tend to decide on their own or due to some legal framework that they want to limit consumer lending exposure.
Why do they want to limit it? Do they
that's the feedback we are getting, that there are very often we hear this like, not more than 30% in consumer loans, not more than some percent in consumer loans,
especially the bigger investors.
Exactly, those institutional ones, institutional funds and like parts of banks, etc. Maybe it's just their strategy or something, and we feel because of that that business interest is a bit lower. Because there's a bit more, there is more money potential available. But at the same time, it gives more transparency and trust, because if you know that larger players are coming in and investing, you are together with larger boys, so you should feel, or you most likely make an assumption that they know what they're doing, right? They're making living out of it.
But at the same time,
it's interesting discussion.
I also discussed it a lot during the past for interviews, the risk effect of institutional investors as well for the platform, because obviously it can fuel growth, and one example that I always bring, like in Germany, Orgs Money, they're mostly funded by Aegon, a Dutch insurance company. They promised like 1.5 billion over the course of 3 years. And that's obviously a very strong accelerator. They adjust terms so people can, or the loans can be funded quicker, and also they offer like bigger loans for their customers. So, and at the same time, it's a question like how sustainable is that, with the requirements that they obviously have in terms of the interest rate, and when they pull out money, like if they're probably a big gap creates within the system of the platform, and they kind of got also other, you know, investors coming around, but they feel like difficulties to really bring their money out of in the market, you know.
Yeah, if it's like most or some big part is from one investor, right? Yeah, I agree with that. So we try to work with more to get more different.
So diversified and also. But is there a range?
No, we don't know. No, but the good thing usually with institutional investors is that they never invest without a proper due diligence. And for example, what we learned is that the level of due diligence we do on our lenders, on our borrowers, is strong enough for institutional investors to say, okay, it is in line with what we do.
So it's a reassurance for you.
Yes, and here Debitum experience basically comes in, because we were doing a lot of due diligences for Western funds. When we were asking for money, so we know what they're looking for, and we are doing the same for our borrowers on our platform. And it's very often it means that there are more covenants in place. Because say if an institutional investor comes in and says, I will invest 5 million in something, they will not do it only based on claim right. They will ask that there is a financial covenants, like debt equity ratio for a borrower should remain under some level. Maybe some pledge should be in place, some additional guarantees and securities, and that's exactly what we're doing. It's not on one hand on one hand it makes the process a bit slower, because you need to do it longer, and you need to convince the borrower or the loan originator to take up those securities
terms, then I guess.
To take those terms, etc. And yes, of course, there always a question: what if you will not support, and there will be no investment, and why I need to make the security, etc. But I think in a longer period of time it will really pay off. Because I think that level of guarantee and will be different. Will be on average different. Than if there would not be those institutional investors. But I really take your point about this balance, and we work hard not to have that disbalance. We want to have balance.
That was the question. Like, do you integrate? Do you have like certain also security mechanisms on your side? Obviously, the requirement from institutional investors, I can imagine, and what I heard also from other conversations, if they are willing to do it, because some say no, we maintain like really like with retail investors, and that's really like our core and our focus. But maybe then on one side there's the terms that are defined by the institutional investor. On the other side, you can say, hey, look, in order to have a limited dependency on one big capital source that we're getting, we want to stretch it, we want to diversify, and therefore in the beginning we may be limited. That's my question with the range. We say financially, also when you're a young company, you want to kind of make sure that's a natural growth happening, and also other investors are coming along. So there's a lot of things to balance out, I think, on your end.
It is. Exactly. To balance out and to work with retail investors, with institutional investors, to work with each institutional investor, not to make that one. We have already a couple, and we work with a couple of more to join, and we need to really make sure that it's not that one is ready to invest and just invests in everything, etc. But the ones that we have currently, they want actually to diversify. They basically act in a way very similar to a retail investor, just maybe with more capital or with more available capital. But no, I think it's really, let's see how it goes. It turns out in a longer period of time. Because I think it's a longer time game. Definitely.
It's always obviously your hope. That's like understandable. Maybe one last question to cover off this topic. Is it like, do you approach them or do they come to you?
Currently, it's more that we approach, and we actually work on it. We have a separate person working on that, and we discuss, we meet, we discuss. Someone, I think there has been one case that we got an inquiry. So it's like. But I think because of the age we are, right? We are still young, and the portfolio is not so huge. So I think it's more energy on our side. Later, when the portfolio will grow, I think it might turn around. But
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe probably never.
Because it's like information that I need to try to bring in the right order. Because I feel like from what you're saying, to me it makes perfect sense. at the same time, I'm wondering, like investors like me, like normal investors, you know, do you feel like they still are? It's just like that caring element, you know, when you feel like is a platform really looking also for small retail investors that just want to invest a couple €1,000, and you know, do they feel like probably we're hearing that? I don't know. Sorry, if he's just looking for the big fishes in the market, and maybe I'm not really like the right audience or the right kind of investor for this platform. Maybe to clarify that concern, you know.
That's actually a good question. I think the way and what we do, it actually turns it around because we are able, if we get a bigger investment we are able to bring more loan originators, more diversification.
Yeah.
Because say if one loan originator joins, right, and they want to fund up to say a couple of million.
Yeah.
It will take longer time for us together, for example, to fund it through retail.
Yeah.
If we get some bigger tickets in terms of investment, we can actually get more loan originators in, and it is more diversification, more ability to choose for retail person.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good balance. We really appreciate and we want individuals. We don't say no, and we do everything we can to make it a good journey for them, an easy journey to join. That's exactly, for example, why we have the platform as it is, the design as it is, but we want to actually rebuild it. We are rebuilding it right now. We want to update, facelift basically, to make it even more easier for exactly for retail, for individuals, because very often institutionals they need integration, not a user interface.
Yeah.
But we want to put that effort into user interface. We want to make it easy, very easy flow, that use flow, how to use it, how to make it clear and affordable in a way of time, etc.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're a young company, so where do you see that correlation? Because it came across to me like the funding of institutional investors is necessary to grow, let's say, your sales operations to increase the number of loan originators. So is that a difficulty that you see currently in your early stage, I would say? How can we get funding? And that's why you focus probably on the big fishes to bring more loan originators, which I think it's from a logical standpoint of view makes sense to diversify them for the private investors.
Yeah, exactly. Different countries, different. Yeah.
But is that required right now? Because obviously sales, obviously like a big department. I was like, when I was looking at Groupier, Mintos in the last days, like really with their teams working only on acquiring loan originators. You know, do you feel like that's one of the big elements that you want to push forward? And also now we're already in the future discussion. What's the outlook? But
definitely. We see that when we discuss with loan originators, we have different pluses that they see or we discuss, and we actually have more willing to join.
Yeah.
And we know that if we would onboard all of them like tomorrow, then most likely there currently would be too little capital, and they would be unhappy with kind of the level of investments that they receive from day one. So I think you put it correctly. We need some. I would say when you are a big one, very very big, then yes, from a loan originator perspective, you kind of hope that you will just compete with the existing ones and take some funding away from the existing ones, and you will get enough from your point of view. For us, because we are a new one, we need to ensure that they will get funding at all, right? So we have to we are in a bit different stage, and we need to make that balance. And for that, we are really happy that we get interest from retail investors.
Yeah.
Actually, as well, a lot on Germany and Netherlands and Spain, that region of Europe. But we are also happy that we are able to discuss with institutional investors that give us some, some insurance for onboarding new loan originators.
Yeah.
Let's see how it will play out in the future, right? It's always like really interesting to discuss future.
Yeah.
But I hope that we want to maintain that balance.
Yeah.
And again, we are doing facelift for retail. We are thinking of doing a mobile app. We are doing a lot of things that are mostly orientated for retail investor, for their safety, for their flexibility, etc.
Okay, now we took a very long road. We initially started with the borrowers. I just had a few more questions here. Obviously the range I named, or I said already, 10,000 to 1 million, that's the funding range. Where do borrowers come from geographically? Is it something like globally offered, or is that focus on certain geographics?
Currently, it's the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. We are doing some discussions in Poland. We have been working with several potential loan originators from Poland and from Czech Republic. So those are the first 5. And there is a logical reason for that. Actually, the Baltics is more like our home market, where we have more connections and we better understand the market. Obviously, right? Yeah. And then Poland and Czech Republic is actually have the biggest gaps in SME lending in this region.
Okay.
On a European level, it's like Poland and Czech Republic having the biggest gaps in that lending, and we see that when we go there, that there is a lot of business lending happening, and a lot of smaller maybe loan originators doing. It's a wider, broader market. A lot of smaller doing it, and we think it's really awesome that we can try pulling them together, and that again is a good proposition for investor, because they know that's more diversity, different risks, etc., etc.
But you try to grow from within, then let's say you spread from within Lithuania to the Baltics, obviously, and then
and then we want to work. We want to work more on pan-European level, and also we are looking, as we discussed, we are looking also some opportunities maybe to go to other markets that are underfinanced heavily in SMEs, and that gives a lot of opportunity for lending, for business operations in those markets, as well for investors to actually earn money. Right?
Yeah. Okay. And last question here for that section is which industries are getting mostly funded? Do you have some statistics here?
Yeah, we do. We have 15, I think, industries. We put them as industries.
Yeah.
So I think currently it's a lot of wholesale and logistics and manufacturing, I think. But I would need to check it out.
Yeah.
Different. A bit different. A bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay.
A bit of everything.
Then let's discuss the loan originators. Currently, we discussed it. You have 3 originators working with the platform. What are the requirements? Let's say aside from obviously business loans and SMEs, what are the requirements for Debitum network that a loan originator needs to have in order to work with you?
Okay. We actually, first of all, it's business, and we had a situation where we had, I think, some 2 or 3 meetings, calls with an originator, and it was kind of business, but then it appeared that it's not business in reality. So first it's business only, and then we do actually a proper due diligence. We do it on 6 levels, on 6 different areas, as we would call it a balance scorecard, basically for due diligence. So we look into their operations a lot. So we look into onboarding and scoring the customers. We look into debt collection. We look into diversification, into organizational matters, experience. We actually check everyone from directors and shareholders. We check them on lists, on sanction lists, on political people lists. We look into their financials and other numbers, and also we value. And out of all of that, we kind of pinpoint where are the risky places.
Yeah.
And out of those pinpoints, we propose them exact covenants, personalized covenants for that loan originator. For example, if we see that let's say debt collection process might be not the most effective that we have seen, then we are putting hard covenants on, say, if you have more than X% late, and more than 30% of your loans on Debitum, you have more than, say, 15 days late, you already start to buy back. Even if one loan is not 60 or 90 days late, but if we start to see that in general your loans are getting too late, you start to buy back. Because we saw that your debt collection is really not the best one, and we are not sure that you will be able to collect them. So we try to put very personalized covenants based on that due diligence that we do.
Do you require a buyback guarantee from your originators?
We put it like that. In the beginning, we thought that it should be optional. Now we are more into requiring, unless we do. Sometimes we do some testing with buyback, and we say, okay, no, let's do one without buyback and see how what it affects. Let's put it more higher, like. If loan originator says, I would like to try without buyback, we say, okay, we can maybe try one, see if there's any resonance, what's the demand. But in reality, we want to do one of the two things. We want to do either a hard, more or less a hard buyback, but supported by securities covenants in our partnership agreement. Or we are discussing with some new loan originators that there would not be a hard buyback, but there would be a reserve fund that they fund every month. With every basically new loan, they fund certain amount of percent based on the default ratios in a reserve fund, and that fund would be used to buy it back. It would allow, for them, it would be easier to plan cash flow because it would be a percentage every month for them. No, not like everything is good, then buy back, and you have to buy back in 1 month. You basically would put it with a smaller amount, put it all around all the time. For investor, that might mean longer term for buying it out. No, for example, if current reserve fund is not enough, they would keep. Given that they would keep lending, they would still keep paying for a fund, and that would be used to fully buy back. But that's a new thing that we are currently discussing. But so far, it's mostly 99% buyback.
Okay.
And it's
And I think the assessment, obviously, from your perspective that you had with before, you kind of are already in that field, understanding what the requirements are. Probably that experience helps you also to evaluate what do you look at and what are the requirements for individual loan originators. Maybe some experience benefit that you have.
We look at it from actually three places, from three sides. We look at it from our lending experience, and we know our operations, and we actually know different ways. We on a really good level understand different accounting principles. What you can do with loans, you can like postpone loans, default loans, partial defaults, and when we do due diligences, we actually know what to look for to actually find out what are they in reality doing in like financial way. Then we have been doing a lot of those due diligences for institutional investors, so we know what they are looking for and what are their criteria and their requirements. And then from our own investing experience, we know what type of material information we would like to see. Or what type of, trust, transparency we would like to get to be able to invest and to feel comfortable. Not safe, but at least comfortable.
How do you control? Like, is there obviously there's an initial setup with originators, but obviously to maintain that relationship, just a few sentences, what you have in place, to what the kind of data is that you look at, and how frequently you look at it, or if you say, okay, we have like certain metrics until they are fine, there's no point for us to really look deeper into it.
No, we look at it on quarterly basis. We look actually their financials. With all of them, we have agreed that they give us interim financials every quarter. We check up all the ratios and data what we did do also during due diligence, and we check all the covenants that they are in place. And again, if they are not, there are certain things that basically buying out. We put investor safety first. And that's sometimes really hard to push through loan originators because they maybe want to do it differently. They want to say, okay, I want just to get money and then let's see what happens. But we are pushing investor safety first. Because then we think that it will be investors will be willing to fund, and we also want that investors feel comfortable funding and not to feel like it's a gamble or something, right? So that's what so every quarter we check on that. We keep checking, we keep monitoring.
Okay. There's one element that came to my mind with the borrowers. I think that's interesting because it's sometimes I think it's not a big topic, but it's a topic that also concerns some investors. It's the ethical part of investing, and we talked prior to this interview also that that also one of the reasons to turn to SME loans is that you will have there's an ethical perspective to you also in not going out to promote consumer loans. Maybe you can say a few things about it.
Yeah, we made that decision actually when we started Debitum because we hadn't what to do in a way, should we also do consumers?
Yeah.
But we didn't like the idea that in our region, usually if you have constant income, etc., it's no problem to get overdraft in a bank, and really it wouldn't be more expensive than a payday loan, and or get a leasing or something if you want new stuff. So we thought that usually the ones that take really those consumer like payday and fast loans and expensive loans, most likely and very often are people who shouldn't actually be taking them. And I don't want to take that responsibility of myself, that I don't want to feel responsible that maybe I'm breaking someone's life. I feel that consumer loans should be given where it's underfinanced, as we discussed, maybe other places like other continents, basically like South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, where there are a lot of people actually having decent activity, but just because of historical or infrastructure reasons, not having access to banking or to any type of facility, and then I support that. But I'm not I'm not religious. I'm not really religious, if that's the term, on this. But I don't fight those that do consumer lending or payday or whatever. I just know that I don't want to be part of it. Actually, I have refused in my life a position at one of those companies.
Okay, but you don't reveal which.
No.
But yeah, I think the ethics is always a part. I think if you investors are concerned about also supporting this, and some I think make conscious decisions also about it to say, okay, I just want to probably just invest in business loans or something else. So
and business, small businesses like in some European countries up to 90% our economy. We don't know the names of the small business, but usually, very often, architecture business, a small architecture office doing a new designs, a bakery. We don't consciously notice, but because we notice usually the big names, right? Like the first name, Coca-Cola, something, right?
Yeah.
But small business in terms of employment, in terms of activity, it's a huge percentage, and I think it's really awesome if we can together support it, because then what it means is that on a general economical level, our economies get better and stronger and grow, and then prosperity increases for everyone, and so it means that the investor gets back interest on the loan, but they also get back the general kind of prosperity level increase, where they in the surrounding environment.
Yeah.
So I think it's really great.
Then we have two more obviously parts of your business model that connects the Debitum network. Probably because I have less questions, I want to do this one first. It's the investor. Okay. Investors can start to invest from up to €10. Annual interest is of up to 15% per year. How can you, just for those that have never been really on Debitum network on the platform, how does investing look on a practical side? What needs to be known for investors? Just a few words, what you can say about it, because now we're striping in that area where we talk a lot about the blockchain and the way everything is working.
Okay.
Just
we can like regular things is that I think it's quite easy to get an account, right? You just register with email and password. We thought that we don't need to make the hassle up front. So it's possible to deposit. Its investment is minimum 10, but we say that deposit is minimum 50 because it's it takes a bit hassle, so etc. And then it's quite easy. Currently it's two options. So either you go through all the loans. You can sort them in different ways. Actually, you can filter them also in different ways, and then you just pick what you like. You can open each.
Normal auto invest.
Yeah, and the second is auto invest. Yeah, and the second is auto invest.
Yeah,
and second is auto invest. And auto invest, again, we do. Another thing that we value a lot is liquidity. Yeah. So we think it's really good if an investor can get out as soon as possible. So what we do, we prioritize repayments of a loan with loan originator. If there are regular repayments, like every month, we prioritize the whole repayment to us. So what it means is that if there is a loan of 10,000, and say it's like each month's 1,000 repayment, then if investors through Debitum have invested less than 1,000, for example, then during the first month they all will be repaid full. It's super liquidity, like because we didn't reach it. If we would reach like 10, if we would invest all 10, then everyone would be repaid 1/10 every month. But if all investors have put in less than a repayment, we actually pay them out, and they are free to get back in. That's kind of we make it.
I don't know if I understand it correctly. That means like I get like if I have a later share that is paid back later, then I have obviously not that liquidity.
No. It's basically if the repayment comes in, and in general, if a repayment is more than the principals, all outstanding principals, then the investors get also a principal back.
Yes.
And then there is the decision to get back in the same loan because it's not paid, it's not fully financed, so there is room to get back, or they want to get into another loan. And what it means also in our auto invest, there is actually an option where you say, do you want to invest in the same loans again?
Okay. So that means you start already to fund projects that haven't reached their target.
Yes.
So it's a work in process. So if the funding target is 10,000 euro, and you would say, okay, we split it in 10 parts, and we would start to fund to give out the first 1,000 euro immediately without the target being hit, and so investors receive already the return from the first 1,000 euro, although the entire target hasn't been funded yet.
Like investors receive from first day, and based on the repayments, they get the money back.
But what's the
and it's something that we love about investing. We love that. We love liquidity. We love liquidity, and that's one of the things that we thought, okay, if there are these situations, how should we tackle those situations? And we made the decision that it's better to tackle again on the liquidity side. So investor gets his money out, and it's then his decision to get back or not.
But what would be the largest circle? Is it always like in a month term you would get your money back, or was it?
No, different payments, because different loans have different payment terms. For example, usually factoring has a bullet, so it's like only one payment at the end, and usually business loans have monthly payments or quarterly payments. So then that can happen in those type of loans, in those with regular payments. But in those loans with one single payment, it doesn't happen. Interest you earn from day one. As soon as you invest, actually on the same day you invest, you already receive interest. That's the way we have designed it. And then it just accrues. No, it's accrued. So it's each day you see how much you have. You see how much you have earned. And then when the repayment is done, then that is what you get paid back. Your principal plus accrued interest.
It's not a common approach. Would you agree?
I think it's not like totally unique, but it's maybe maybe a bit different.
But what I like about it is obviously it's not this all or nothing. It's not like, okay, sorry, we are still looking for that another 3,000 euro when the entire loan is like 500,000 euro.
Exactly. And we don't want to lock the money
and see how long the money is blocked then in the process, for other investors that so it makes sense.
So we are, based on our background, again, on different knowledge and on advice that we discuss with some people that also have even maybe better experience or larger experience, we come up with designs to make this. We value transparency, security, liquidity. So we make decisions based on that, so that those things are better. It doesn't. Most likely it means that the interest rate itself is a bit lower possibly than on many platforms, but then you get different possibilities. And for example, if you have more liquidity or more like shorter term, for example, then you actually can invest 100, you get back say 102, and you invest 102. It's basically you compound, and then their interest rate actually starts increasing because of that. Interest rate per year on your initial investment is getting a bit higher because you make interest on interest. So these are the small things. Actually, it's very small detailed things that we designed to make it more appealing to those principles.
The devil is in the detail.
Yeah, exactly. It's like.
Okay. Then let's talk about the service provider. I try to look at the time.
We discussed a lot.
Let's see. That's with the schedule. How far we come. Service providers, a core element, and risk score, insurance, collection. Again, here I want to quote, service providers can offer their expertise in risk assessment, insurance and debt collection to clients all over the globe for an attractive compensation. So that to me it means you have external contractors, so to say, that have probably qualified in risk assessment, and they can assess loans on the platform, and probably all the blockchain comes in now, but maybe can you explain how that works in general?
So again, we want to have we value the transparency more element. So what we thought is that there are different countries, different regions, different businesses, different loan originators. Everyone has different ways they value their loans, the risk of their loans, right, etc. And we thought we need to unify all of that, because if we want to provide an investor with a global, wider regional ability to invest, we need to unify, because otherwise you wouldn't understand. Is the same loan in Lithuania the same level, and Poland say B is a B plus in Lithuania the same risk as B plus in Poland, for example. So what we are doing then, we have external risk assessors in each market, and currently we have one in each, but we want to actually have more, that to give even more data and more different looks at the same loans. And whenever a loan originator gives us a loan, they actually give us the detail that we are sending. The platform automatically sends to the risk assessor, and they actually give their score. And then we have unified all scores in all the markets, and we unify it based on the probability of default during the next 12 months. And for example, what it means if there is a score B on our platform, it doesn't matter in industry or country or loan originator, we have a table available, and B means around 1% default in next 12 months. It doesn't matter where the loan is. And I think that's really good thing, because then for investor it actually gives, unified transparency. First, they know that the same risk score is everywhere, so they can actually compare risk reward, very rationally. And another thing is that they have the transparency, that it's actually third party who has evaluated that loan. It's not only the loan originator has said it's a good or bad loan, or good, better or worse, but it's actually third party who are professional in that field. And that we have this debate with loan originators very often, and of course everyone is saying our risk score is the best. and then I say from our own experience, we say like that, okay, in say Debitum factoring, right, for example, or any other company, first of all, you get this amount of applications, and you fail, you refuse some of them, like part, maybe half or something. And then only these you give out, and you get data, are they good or bad? And only on these you can make kind of improvements in your risk model. While a professional risk scorer that does risk scoring for banks, for telecommunications, for utilities, for fintech, for lender, they look at all the country, they take all the data from the country, and they score all of them, and they score them again the same in a year, in a half year. Their ability on a big data level to make a better model is tremendously bigger. And that's exactly how we look at it. And so far, it is a tough discussion with each loan originator, because everyone is saying that their own proprietary risk method is way better. But at the end of the day, we see that when we already feel that loan originator is riskier than another, even if they both are saying everything is good, we already see that the third-party scorers actually make lower scores for that one.
Yeah.
And we really feel that that's a really good way to do it, because it gives better transparency and knowledge.
Yeah.
And we plan to put even not one but more in each country, so that it will give even more. And what else we can do with that? We actually, what we do, we rescore each loan every month.
Yeah.
So you as an investor, you can see that if you invested in B loan, you can actually see if next month it's still B. And if next month it's still B.
Yeah.
And say, for example, if it starts to get late, we rescore again, and you can again see if it's still B. So I think it gives, of course, there are different things, but it gives you kind of that you actually monitor. You can monitor the risk of your investments, and you can then make some decisions if you don't like something. So I think that's what we do. And then with insurance and debt collection, with insurance we are discussing. We don't have it on the platform as yet, because we need to have a larger portfolio. But we are discussing two things: either external insurance provider or maybe even internal kind of insurance.
Yeah.
So we are looking but we need to reach bigger amounts, because insurance is a numbers game, right? You need to have big numbers so that statistics really work.
Yeah.
And with debt collection, we have partners in each country, but for now we have that buybacks. When we will start, maybe we'll do a bit. When we'll start different or reserve fund or something, then we'll switch on the debt collectors.
Yeah.
Because switching on a debt collector and not providing them work would not make the best partnership in the world. So that's kind of the idea. Again, and I personally think, and I have had my own battles within Debitum. When I say, guys, there are professionals how they're doing it, like. Why would we do the same bicycle? Why would we invent the bicycle?
Yeah. And obviously giving then profit away and or the share, that would be my next question. How are they compensated? Do they get a share of the loan that they assess? Or is there a fee? Is that something flexible that you agree on the success then in the end? Or
for the risk scorer, it's a fixed fee for each score. And but of course we can. What we do is that. For each time we score, we need to pay a fee, and we currently cover it internally. And for other things, for insurance, we already know that later on for insurance or debt collection, it will most likely be percentage. Yeah, but again, how we put it, I think it makes sense for example for risk assessment. It makes sense us to take that small fee and pay it. But that allows us to ensure to investors that we know that we actually trust and know the level of risk in each loan, and it's based on statistics. That's maybe my problem. I come from math school, and then I went through economics university, and we always I have thought that everything should be really rational, and you really need to look at numbers. So I don't understand if someone says me it's high risk or low risk. I don't understand. I understand if someone says me it's 2% default, 5% default, 10% default. That's what I understand.
Yeah.
And that gets it back to the poker discussion, right? It's a numbers game. So it's a numbers game, and that's how we look at it.
Yeah.
And we want to ensure that we can give trustworthy information to the investor.
Okay, there's a lot of information for me to process. So basically, but you are looking basically for external partners mostly, and as far as I understand it right now, this is it's like an outsourced process that you do to ensure you have stability and you have like a proper risk assessment. You do it very transparent. You want to but you can do it on one side, obviously internally, but you say in each country we look at just at a third party that has an additional probably information, that has more or a different angle of insights, and then it's just a double checking to reassurance of the loans that everything is fine.
Exactly. We double check, and we actually put limits. Sometimes for loan originators we put limits based on those checks. For example,
which limits?
For example, we say okay, if it's less, if the risk is worse than say some we will not publish it on the platform. So that allows us.
But it forces them in kind of to also rethink probably their evaluation, and then maybe say in order to have it published, maybe we lower it a bit. So it's a very nice process.
It's very nice process, and it's really different. I didn't imagine that. For example, we were looking a bit into Ukrainian market.
Yeah.
Their risk assessors actually go live to companies and assess their risk.
Okay, they're doing proper auditing there.
They actually go there and discuss with them, and it takes like a week, and they give a report, and it's totally different. And I know, but
then the project site needs to be in a certain area that makes it worth it for all parties.
Yes, exactly. But at least we know. But what we see exactly is that those that are specializing in risk scoring, they have their own ways they do it, and that way is like I'll say they work on it, they improve it, and I think it's really great.
Now the question is obviously, I mean, I know you're still very young in business. You launched like in a half year ago, pretty much, a bit longer now. But now you're working with free loan originators. I don't know. It's a bit of a witty question, I have to admit. But is it like one of the reasons why also like it's harder for you to find loan originators? Not only because it's the business aspect where probably more originators are less focused because for various reasons here, but maybe because they say sorry, but the way you run this double assessment, and I mean on one side it could feel like it diminishes slightly their authority because loan originators, as far as I'm understanding it, you know, that's their expertise, assessing loans. And you're kind of questioning that and say we really just want to have good loans, and you know they could be damaged if another risk assessor says sorry, but this loan is really out of proportion, and how they evaluate the risk. Do you have discussions first of all with the current ones, and secondly the ones that is it an additional border for you to really also get originators to collaborate with you in the first place because they say you're not with us?
It's a fair question. I wouldn't say harder, I would say longer. Because what it means for us, it means that if, for example, as I mentioned, we're now discussing Poland and Czech Republic, and to make sure that we actually can onboard a Polish or Czech Republican company, we need first to find a risk assessor, make an agreement with them, make an integration with them, and find a way how they can automatically and on as fast as possible terms provide scores, right? So it takes a longer time. And yes, in certain countries, for example, in certain, we had already experience where actually a risk assessment very often it's not based on statistics, or they have statistics but they don't provide it directly. Say they have 10 classes or points up to 100, up to 1,000, etc., and it also takes us time to agree on the probabilities. So, for example, we had a situation when the risk assessor, their own internal statisticians actually went through their model and assigned default rates, default probabilities for each of their scores, so that we can get not the score but the probability. And yes, of course, it takes time. It took us like 3-4 months. And it is a bit complicated. It takes us time. When we discuss with loan originators, as I mentioned, yes, it's always a hard discussion, like how come? But somehow till now we see that I think they usually approach it like that. Okay, if you want to do it. Because we pay from our commission, so we pay from what we make, and they kind of say, okay, just do it if you want. I think the longer the time, I think they will see the benefit, because I think that there is actually benefit for them, because how I imagine it a longer period of time is that exactly those parts, debt, risk, debt, insurance, on a platform level, we can find economies of scale, and we can find better partners, more professional, more specified in those areas. And then loan originators, they can concentrate on acquiring, on selling, on marketing, on work, customer relationship, basically dealing with the loan, etc. Maybe making more different products. They can actually work on their core competence, that is the loan itself. So I think in a longer period of time, they will loan originators actually see a better and larger benefit. Initially, it's more like, okay, if you want to do it, just do it. We don't mind. Just do it. Yeah, but it's a fair question. But I think again, we put it differently. We put transparency first. But of course, then they, in a way, maybe also because of those things, a bit expect that they can ask investors for lower interest, because it's okay. You have more data, you have more that. It should be kind of reversely compensated. No, but it's really an interesting discussion.
And I think we reached a point now where we talk about 1 hour 10 minutes now. And if we start now to talk about the digital currencies and the tokens, I think also the last viewers will now switch off. I don't know, from a time perspective, I would like to cover the topic, but I think probably I also, or maybe I cut this video in 2 pieces, I don't know. Let's see how we do it. But because I find it interesting, maybe we try to limit also because of your time availability. Let's just have a quick look at the tokens. Also, to me, that's a completely new topic, digital currencies. So first of all, you have like DEB token, I think DEB Debitum, and token is obviously a digital currency, correct? And so I have another quote here, DEB tokens carry value and will be used in the Debitum network ecosystem to create contracts and do transactions. Can you explain this in simple terms, how this investing with tokens happens? Because I don't, I mean, I deposit 500 euro, but they will be transferred into token, or is it?
No. Okay. I need to make it clear. No, we don't mix. We don't mix. It's in terms of investment. It's the currencies we all know, like euros, and maybe we allow deposits in a bit more, but it's like investment is in the currencies. So it's 2 things, I think. First of all, and it's a longer term game, because for that to decently switch on and to give the value, it is the numbers, loans, amounts should be higher, and to feel the consequence, let's put it like that. But basically what we do is that what we do partly, and it will do later on fully. First of all, I believe that blockchain is like really the future technology, especially for things where trust is needed, like peer-to-peer. So we are on the frontier. It's not here yet, as you mentioned, like what it is. So we are preparing to be one of the first to be there. And how we use, and then what will happen is that we want to make that each loan is actually it's stored on a blockchain. And everyone can see that there is actually a loan, and then everyone can see that actually a rating of B was given. Because now, even though I say it's third-party company, you actually don't know what is my integration. Did they actually do it, or did I put B? And no, it's this trust element. When we can meet each other, etc. We can make that. You can evaluate if you want to trust me, and then you make that decision and trust me, right? That's how we work. But when we work on a global level, you need more. I think you need technology to show that everything happened, and then what we will do. Each loan will be a contract on a blockchain, and each transaction will be written in that contract, and you will see definitely that there is a loan, and that gives awesome possibilities, because then it gives, if you get an ownership of that loan, you can resell that loan to anyone everywhere. You can buy a loan on Debitum and then turn around, come to me in a live meeting and sell it. It gives possibilities that currently are not possible, and it is a bit of like future, but this is exactly what we are setting us up for. I always feel that I need to say currently Debitum token, it does not hinder, it does not create more risk or anything for investor or for anyone, but we are building the background technology for it to be able, so that we are able to do big things in the future.
Yeah. So currently you're not working on the blockchain.
We are doing certain things. We are doing certain things on the blockchain, but yes, we can't do all the things because currently, as the internet in 90s, it is too expensive to do every single thing properly, nicely, separately on a blockchain because it's really expensive. As the internet was in the 90s, dial up. And it was like, and you pay like a lot of money. Currently, it's the same as blockchain. So later on, it will get cheaper. So yeah, we do some things, but investment is regular investment. We feel why we love blockchain is for trust, transparency. So we want to make sure that later on, you as an investor, you'll be able. Because later on people will understand how to normally operate with blockchain, look at the blockchain, etc. That you'll be able to know that all the things happened, that all the monitorings happened, that risk score actually was given by someone. No, you will be able to double check on all that. You'll have that ultimate transparency, one. And second is that you'll be able to have ultimate liquidity because you'll be able to actually prove that you own that loan and it will not be on Debitum, it will be everywhere. And for example, what it means that secondary market, because many platforms have it, you will not have to have secondary market on the platform. You will be able to just resell loan on a different infrastructure without that particular platform, and it gives better security. If, for example, platform goes down, all the data will be stored in a way that it's still accessible. And now people try different things to go around it, but it is something we have something of that already, and we work to increase that blockchain kind of technology more and more. But we also need to make sure that more mainstream, it becomes more mainstream, more understandable, more accessible, and all the transactions should become cheaper to make it like fully everything.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting topic, and it's really like it's a futuristic a bit topic, right? Yeah. What will happen in the future? Will this be the next big thing?
But to let's say stay in reality, the
see, mainstream. See, it should become mainstream.
The DB tokens, so I invest normally as an investor. I deposit my euros. I invest in euros. I say minimum amount 10 euro. I don't need to think about tokens in that sense, and there's an exchange rate or something that's not.
You don't need to think about that. What we do certain transactions with them, we do some background. It doesn't influence what you do. And currently, I think it's not from a value perspective. Maybe it's not the best comparison, but maybe for understanding perspective, if you take any mobile game at the moment, they would have some diamonds or gold or something like that. So maybe currently you can think like that okay, there is token somewhere, it's some extra diamond, so maybe it will give you some extra possibility, but you can do everything you want without it. Without directly touching it, but it runs somewhere in the background. So currently I think you should think like that. So when you think about Debitum network as a platform, you should think like that there is this innovative, futuristic aspect. I think that we are building more and more on, and because I expect it to actually reach peak in some 5 years, this blockchain as a technology, and but as for you as a user, it does not hinder, risk, influence you in a bad way. Yes, maybe you will get a bonus in token, for example, but no, it does not hinder you in a way.
Okay.
You will maybe be able to do some extra stuff with that if you want to, but again, no, it's the most important thing that the bottom line is not getting worse. I think that's the most important to communicate, right?
Okay. Well, one of just to wrap up on the tokens, what I figured was you had a crowd sale of your DB tokens in 2 rounds. The first one was December 2017, the other in January 2018, February, so very closely together. And the token system consists of 400 million tokens in total. And you basically, that's kind of an art crowdfunding, crowd sale. So what was the monetary worth that has been happened here in the exchange. Can you talk about it, or is it?
I can, but I need to put some things clear straight right away, because if you're not familiar, you maybe don't know it, but crypto market goes up and down, and those crowd sales on in tokens, etc., they happen in a crypto in cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
For example, in Bitcoin or Ethereum or something.
So is it an ICO? Is that what it's?
No, technically no. How to say? It's already a very legal point. Because there are different names for different things. So what it means that we managed to raise certain amount of funds by selling tokens that will be used in platform later on, and we received certain amount for that. But that was in cryptocurrencies, and actually when we finalized our crowd sale, it was exactly the time where cryptocurrency started dropping. So whatever amount we actually made, we managed to collect. The next day, we were, in terms of euros, for example, it was already less. So I can tell publicly how much we raised, but we lost a huge part of that because of that drops. Because Ether dropped from $1,200 to currently $170. So
a tenth.
Almost a tenth. So but at that stage we actually raised around $18 million in dollars, and that gives us capital. That gives us that gives guarantee for users, for investors, for loan originators that we are here to stay. We have enough capital for 3 years at least to work on this. And that's why we, as you mentioned, is it hard to push your ideas through loan origination, etc. We have, it's longer, but we have the time. From our perspective, we have the time, we have the capital to afford it. To make sure that we can make this platform the way we intend to make it, that we can bring all the values with it. And I think that's important takeaway from all the story. There are a lot of interesting discussions and things and emotions and stuff about what happens when you close a crowd sale and the next day you see that everything drops. It's like interesting feeling.
Because obviously, like, people will be like also concerned, especially with as you know best, probably funding of a new startup, of a new company. And then something that appears to be on a very volatile level, so to say. When you say like value decrease, it's not, in my mind, I like to see it, because I have not the full understanding, but I see it like, okay, you do an ICO, cryptocurrency, you say, okay, this would be what we sold, will be worth 18 million. At the same time, is it like in poker, as you say, do you cash out and say, we got all the money before it collapses? At the same time, you're bound to the value of the tokens, and as soon as it decreases, you're kind of like...
I get your point, but no, it's also publicly. We managed to, what we did, because of our finance background, we thought we need to cash out everything. At some stage, we need to fix that position, and then we need to do proper money management, because we of course don't need all that money first months to develop, etc., etc. But yes, we didn't do it the same day, so we got the both sides. We got the negativity of the drop of the price, but we also cashed out we managed to exchange it to regular currencies like euro, for example, and we fixed certain amounts. Therefore, we know. Therefore, when I mentioned that we have funds for 3 years, because I know that we actually have funds in strong in currencies that we use to pay for services for our employees, etc. in euros, and we do cash management further on to make sure that we can invest in development of Debitum as long as possible. But I think it's enough, like that leeway of 3 years. I think it's enough to make sure that this thing happens like on really big level.
It seems probably a bit off topic at some point when you discuss like, like tokens and digital currency, how ICOs and raising capital through digital currencies, how that is regulated, and it's a big buzz about it. But I just, I think it's a necessary part to discuss because it's an integral part of Debitum network, and it's also like as you said, you're supposed to be here also for the future, and you know it's the blockchain based system. You know, it's also what you're building up to. And
exactly.
I think that's all kind of connected. So I think it's valid to bring it up and also discuss it. Although we probably can't feature the entire scope that is around that.
topic. You need to understand that we put it all. We make separations in all places that we need, and for example, as you mentioned, of legal. So there are different legal operator is a separate legal entity exactly because of those things. That's why when you come to platform and you see to deposit, you will see that it's a separate legal entity, etc. No, we make sure that everything is in order, and that's important. And I think because it's not yet mainstream understanding, I think you need to think about it exactly like in 90s or if there is a bank and then they go online, right? And it's like, ooh, what's that? And what will happen? And people will not be able to access the site because they don't have internet, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I think similarly, it's about us at the moment. We are doing something on a blockchain, and most people most likely don't understand or don't know how to access, how to look at it, how to interpret it, etc. But later on, it will be mainstream. We truly internally we believe in that. And we believe that in our operations, in lending, in peer-to-peer, it will give certain benefits. That will be like trust, liquidity, etc. That will be the benefit. Maybe you don't see the 100% value of it today, because it's not yet fully in a mainstream operation. That's the whole blockchain asset technology. But later on, it will. And I believe, I would say, the ones that innovate today will be able to reap benefits later on. The same way Tesla, right?
Yeah.
When he started electric cars, if he would just say, let's do electric cars, everyone would say why? Why do you need it? Why would you need it? It's like everything is running. Why do you need to do it?
Yeah.
And it costs a lot, etc. Right? But now everyone's like, yay, electric cars. That's mainstream.
Yeah.
No, getting to be mainstream.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of.
Okay.
It's very interesting. It's an exciting topic. I actually like discussing it a lot.
Yeah.
I like, but yeah, it's a totally. We can make totally different videos. A new video just discussing that.
Yeah. I think we should wrap it up at this stage.
Yeah.
I think there was a very fair conversation that spread on a lot of different topics and got a lot of insights to Debitum, what it's about. I think. Now we need to all we need to do is make sure there's a really a good exposure for this interview, so people really get aware of this platform. Are really we could follow up on this conversation for quite some time, I feel, but for now it's just thank you very much for your time. I would really like you to address the last words, maybe directly to the viewers, saying Debitum network. We talked a lot about what this is about. Maybe what can people expect in the future as well? What is the outlook, and maybe just the final words that you want to bring across in the end?
Yeah, I think most important is that Debitum network is all about business financing. It's about third-party service providers where we give additional transparency and security for users. And in the future, we also want to, based on that technology, we want to increase that liquidity element way more. And currently, we are working with Central Eastern Europe, nice market where there's a lot of need, and we want to expand further on in Europe and maybe even other places to provide to investors business loans unifiedly scored and available. And if you haven't checked us out, at least check us out. I hope you will like it, and there will be new design coming in a couple of months.
All right.
And that's awesome, actually.
So basically, we got 90 minutes interview covered in 1 minute.
Yes.
Probably put this as a pitch right in the front.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Martins. It was a pleasure. And
thank you very much.
Best of success. I'm sure we continue to talk then on a different level and other circumstances.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.